10 minutes of the most intense pleasure possible does not outweigh 10 minutes of the most intense pain possible. What about afterwards? This is basically, would you rather give birth or do black tar will suck but give me huge relief after it's done, euphoric in its own right. One will leave me empty and chasing after a feeling I'll never quite match. I think maximum pleasure has a relatively smaller upper limit, compared to how many things can cause pain, mental and physician. If that makes any sense. Maybe it's cause we're just made to survive. Outside of sex reproduction, things that help us survive better, there's not many organic pleasures. Pain, however, is a deterrent against everything that can kill you, which there's a lot of. Unless you're a masochist. Can I interest you in this puzzle box? Humans are loss averse. But also, drug addicts clearly contradict that. You're assuming many things based on nothing. A German woman gave me her number the other night. Sex free sex tonight. I mean 663,629. Did each 9 get louder as she said them? I asked a German Jewish woman for her. She rolled up her sleeve. I had kinky sex with a German lady, banging her on a springy bed as she knelt face down on. Duck down is the 4-spring duck technique. So I was banging this German chick. It was great and all, but she just kept yelling her age over and over. Should have been Seuss that it didn't start with 49 anyway. I got mugged in London and asked the first person I came across, a German guy, what the number was for the police, but he adamantly refused to tell me. I don't get it. I did not see that coming. 9 means no in German. Get it? No. We were gangbanging a drunk German girl. She wanted more, but I had to keep telling her that there were only 8 of us. A mathematician, a physicist, and an engineer were each handed a red rubber ball and asked to determine the volume. Oh yeah, smart guy? Empirically proved to me that red rubber balls have exactly the same volume as blue rubber balls and green rubber balls. The very fact that there are separate tables for blue and green balls implies that colors affect volume. Rabble. The engineer said, calculating the volume is a scope change. Let me put together the quote for that. Once you sign off on the change, I'll do the same math that the other guy did and I'll stamp my calculations. I would just ask the manufacturer what the volume is. It's their ball. Where's the joke? If it's air-filled, as opposed to solid, diameter and thus volume will vary with barometric pressure. And yeah, I'm an engineer. Engineer said I'd just drive the train. My man. Did you hear about the 2 Egyptians that farted at the same time? That joke really sphinx. I used to be really into Egyptian mythology until I realized it was just a giant pyramid scheme. It came out of their asp. Fair enough. It came out of their sphinx tears. At least they weren't in denial. I hope for everyone's sake they take their pyramids. Then they co-signed a loan for a new bus. ISIS, what you did there. I love this one. Smiley face. Did they Cairo a lot about the results? Groans. Points at open door. Out. Falls off chair laughing. They were both in denial about tut. I was so sure the response would be that they were in denial. Hello. This calls for opening a new biz. Hope I don't get a snefferoo of that. Tut. Neutral face. Smiley face. This joke stinks, like any proper fart joke should. Europeans, what's the most stupid thing an American has said to you? And Americans, what's the most stupid thing a European has said to you? I had a US colleague non-ironically explain to me what a Mars bar was made of. After asking him why he said that, turns out he thought that in Italy we only buy fresh groceries from street markets, and that we had no concept of supermarkets or food wrapped in plastic. This was 15 years ago. Refusing to believe my aunt and uncles were Spanish because they were blue-eyed blondes. United Kingdom, that's France, England and Spain, right? This was a comment from a global marketing director. Having a vasectomy tomorrow. Feed me with all the jokes. I got a vasectomy so that I'd never have children anymore. Got home and the little bastards were still there. My vasectomy didn't stop me from having more babies, their skin just got a lot darker. Weird. Now you'll be like a Christmas tree, your balls are just for decoration. I'm a vasectomy survivor, I kid you not. It takes balls. True story. My urologist who did my vasectomy was named Dr. Weiner, and when I asked him if he got trouble about his name in urology school, he didn't miss a beat and said a little. But not as much as Dr. Cox. So you're becoming a farmer, will have a couple of acres. Getting downgraded to a starter pistol. You doctor, what that thing you just laid on the tray? Doctor, well, that's your vas. So what that thing you just cut out? Doctor, that's also your vas. So what's the difference? Vasectomy? You hardly know me. People who are born in a country that no longer exists can't select their country of birth when filling out an electronic form. The point of selecting country of birth is to know where one should look for a birth certificate. If a country no longer exists, there's no point in mentioning S. Even weirder with border changes. My grandpa was born near Lviv in pre-war Poland. Birth certificate and all the registry documents were moved to Poland after World War II. Today that's Lviv. Ukraine. But his birth certificate says born in the USSR, even though he never even visited USSR. But USSR visited his birthplace. That entirely depends on the completeness of the underlying database table that supplies country names to the form field. There's nothing to prevent a database admin from including USSR, East Germany etc. from that table. People who think the moon landing was fake never seem to refute the fact we went 5 more times. I was listening to the radio going to work a few weeks ago and a channel I landed on had a co-host drop that she didn't believe the moon landing was real. The host laughed it off. But she kept it. A caller claiming they at one point worked for NASA called and answered every question the co-host. The NASA worker explained that there were in fact other visits to the moon. Both hosts were shocked, not just the moon landing denier. Hey, don't be coming around with solid facts like that. Next you'll rain on the flat earthers who go on cruises around the world. The other 4 were real, they just faked the first one. My only argument when people claim it's faked is if it was fake, the USSR, USA's mortal enemy and space race competitor at the time, would have blown the whistle and exposed it to the world. Some man has the record for highest number of simultaneously pregnant baby mamas. Yeah, and his name is Genghis Khan. We know who that is. Genghis Khan, undisputed all-time champ. There was a guy on a Maury episode I saw last night that had 24 kids, but there was a lady saying it's 26 cause of her 2 kids, but he disputed it saying they weren't. Results came back, and they were indeed his. A guy I grew up with, has 4 kids that were born in same 2 months of year. He was 16 at time. I heard he went north for work, and never returned. He didn't exactly have rep as a stand-up guy, and I guess he proved his rep. If it isn't recorded, is it even a record? Yeah, probably Nick Cannon. Used to work with a guy that said both his wife and his girlfriend were giving birth to his kids in the same hospital on the same day. Neither knew about each other. Nurses must have had a good laugh. Till a U.S. Air Force cadet was reading about World War II when he stumbled upon the name of a janitor that worked at his USAF Academy. That's how it was discovered at the academy that the janitor was a Medal of Honor recipient. Only Army enlisted person buried at the USAF cemetery in Colorado Springs. Crawford died at age 81 on March 15, 2000, in his residence at Palmer Lake. Upon his death, Governor Bill Owens authorized all Colorado flags to be lowered to half-staff in his honor. He is buried at the United States Air Force Academy Cemetery in Colorado Springs. He is the only U.S. Army enlisted person buried there. I feel like after more earning exploits, you'd want to work a banal job too. It'd help with the comfort normalcy of civilian life. Till a 4-year-old murder was solved when detectives noticed a gang member's tattoo that depicted the entire crime scene. Thank God that so many criminals are, you know, morons. There is no pic of the tattoo in the article, sadly. Rap snitches, telling all their business. Sit in the court and be their own star witness. I killed Darnell, yeah, I shot him with my 9. I shot him 9 times, 9 p.m. on the dime. And by the way, it was November 9th. And yes, I did hear this today on No Such Thing as a Fish, which is basically half an hour of potential tell posts. The guy that was murdered was my cousin. It's funny, I never thought I'd see his case randomly pop up on Reddit. This is my confession, admissible in court. I killed Darnell Simmons for sport. That's Boondocks level of stupid criminality. That's like the rappers that rap about crimes they committed. Till about Esmeet Singh. She endured parental abuse despite having top marks in school, often getting punished by standing naked in the corner for grades such as 96. In 2005, she murdered her mother with a butcher knife. Later, she was tried as an adult and ultimately served 6 years in prison. That district attorney is a real boss. She was psychologically tortured all her life and snapped. She got out and got her bachelor's degree, and it appears she works for the ACLU now, which shows she's come out the other side and should have been supported to become a productive member of society sooner instead of sending her to jail. My wife went to school with her. She was apparently a really nice person. Thankfully, she seems to have done well for herself later on. She even published a paper pretty recently on the Inside Out college learning model used for incarcerated teens. Till in 2010, officials in Tokyo went to congratulate the oldest man in the city, Zogen Kato, on his 111th birthday, but instead found his skeletal remains on his bed. He'd been dead for 30 years, but his family had kept it secret to continue collecting his pension money. After this being such a public event, there were cameras and everything because it was a surprise celebration. The Japanese government did an investigation and found 200,000 more dead people whose families had been collecting pensions. Congratulations, you're now the oldest person. Hey, you don't look so good. These stories always make me say WTF. You can dispose of the bones, bury them, have a personal ceremony, anything. You don't have to leave the bones in the house. That room must have smelled super bad, or the family kept it clean. I don't know what's worse. They should try to Weekend at Bernie's him and be like, no he's fine, he's just really tired. Still, that Hong Kong actor Michael Chan is well known for his various triad gangster roles in martial arts movies. It was later discovered he was actually the number 2 boss in the 14K triad. Imagine if he'd focused 100 on crime, could have been the number 1 boss. Now we will never know. I'm really an actor. This gangster boss gig is just a side hustle to help pay bills between roles. That's some serious method acting. He is also a boxing champion and is a saying decades ago. Meaning fist of Michael Chan is as powerful as kick of Bruce Lee. I also find it interesting that he was with his partner for 50 years before getting married. Still, that after childbirth, the placenta can leave behind a wound the size of a dinner plate inside the mother's uterus. It's why they say to wait 6 weeks for sex, swimming, baths, etc. You can get really nasty infections because you're living with a huge open internal wound for a while. Yep. There's a reason you wear what are basically incontinence underwear for a week or more when you leave the hospital. Yup. My coworker told me that when she had her last son she damn near almost bled to death. The crazy thing is that like 15 minutes after she went into labor, her husband, who was deployed with the National Guard at the time, was in an night attack and was also in the hospital. So they both almost died on opposite ends of the world at the same time. Very spooky to think about. No wonder the massage immediately after birth fucking hurt. We just need to make sure everything is going back to where it belongs, is what the nurse said they were doing. Two bees meet at a city intersection. Wasp white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Ouch, that stings. I wonder how many people today know what a wasp is. Was not aware that's how you spelled that. We are sexual perverts? 2 thumbs up for a joke I've never heard before. We're often too young to realize how big of a decision picking your first phone number will be. You picked your phone number? 30-ish years ago in Australia, we could even create the number my mum made hers. Her B-day the beginning was pretty much the same for most people, and nowadays people pick between a few ones given. You can even ask for a new generated one till it's something you like. You can sometimes tell how old a phone number is based on the beginning too. Anyway, that was just a fun fact. I hope the next time I get a number that's real easy to remember. Something like 222, 2222. I would say, sweet. And then people would say, Mitch, how do I get a hold of you? I'd say, just press 2 for a while. And when I answer, you will know you have pressed 2 enough. What are you 100 sure is true even though you can't prove it? One time my cat used her paw to gag herself and puke on the floor because I wasn't paying enough attention to her. Sandwiches taste better when cut diagonally. The United States has wild underwater military assets. Saying it's quiet in any job dealing with the public, you have just fucked up your day. That Reddit is 90 bots and 9 raging idiots arguing against the bots. At least once, a human clone has been made and been allowed to develop all the way to a living breathing person. Cell phone companies deliberately slow down your device once it is paid off, annoying you into buying a new one. That I am the handsomest man in the now. I only have hearsay evidence from my mom and grandma, but I'm sure I'll get the hard indisputable evidence soon. TikTok and all the copycats, reels, shorts, etc., regardless of content, are having a deleterious effect on the attention spans of daily users, which are mostly young people. What biological fact about the other sex did you not know until quite recently? Period shits are real. Many women poop a lot on the first day of their period, like triple what we shit on non-period days. That a woman's vagina secretes a fluid which can bleach their underwear. Okay, this is embarrassing, but when guys talk about puberty and their balls dropping, I thought it was this explosive thing. Like one day you're walking down the street, and bam, your balls just come hurtling, because I keep getting replies to this effect. Yes, I know that testicles descend within the first few months of a boy's life. My mistaken impression was based on the expression balls dropping. Obviously I've since learned that this doesn't happen during puberty. The towel isn't a hat, the hair is wrapped into it. When a guy is taking a poop, the dangling penis and the poop do not actually brush against each other. Don't know why, but this blew my mind. What is a scandal that should have been far bigger news than it was? Clash in Lake Norman area of NC. Duke Energy essentially caused cancer across the areas here. Namely thyroid. My wife got thyroid cancer as well as many other people we know. Duke has continued to avoid unreal implications. Scientology leader David Miscavige's wife has been missing since 2007. The members of Congress who made fat bank in stocks with prior knowledge of COVID. It was in the news cycle for a day or two and seemed to have disappeared. Panama Papers. Several years ago there was the Libor scandal where banks were illegally manipulating interest rates. It was sort of complicated and not very sexy, so no one was interested. Executives from financial institutions in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis giving each other fat checks with the bailout money instead of getting jail time. What is the best SNL skit of all time? Without a doubt, the best SNL skit ever is Celebrity Jeopardy! Watching Sean Connery relentlessly troll Alex Trebek is a comedic masterpiece. It's like a battle of wits between the suave spy and the unflappable host, and we're all just here for the hilarious chaos. Buckwheat has been shot, a clever spoof of the Reagan assassination attempt. Eddie Murphy in his prime. Also, it appeared in parts throughout the episode with updates. Do not taunt Happy Fun Ball. I don't know if it's the best, but I love Happy Fun Ball. And all the deep thoughts by Jack Handy. And yes, Happy Fun Ball was also written by Jack Handy. Toonses. Debbie Downer at Disney World with Lindsay Lohan is the funniest. Matt Foley motivational speaker. Meet your second wife. Oops, I crapped my pants. SNL's commercials are the best skits. What you say? What is the greatest unsolved mystery of all time? Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. I watched A Drunk History and my favorite theory is that some guy in Southie just has those paintings stacked on his wall. For me, it's the fact that a big company like Reddit has the shittiest video player to ever play video. What is consciousness? Bronze Age collapse? Probably. The whereabouts of Shelly Miscavige? Thoughtful face. Thoughtful face. Thoughtful face. Thoughtful face. Seen the ones I would have said, so here's another. Zodiac Killer. As an Australian, what happened to the Beaumont children? How did existence begin? The location of Genghis Khan's burial. Voynich manuscript for me. As an anthropologist with a passion for linguistics, it is baffling that we don't really know what it is. How do two socks go in the dryer and only one comes out? What is dark matter?